Now, I have just one question for the Nigerian government, right? When are you going to stop using the people to play politics? When? Since this Fulani herdsmen started, it has claimed the lives of a lot of people. Just a few days ago, just few hundreds of women came out from Isuzu, the local government of Enugu, to protest that the buying of their people in the farm, the buying of their husband, that they even do force, these Fulani herdsmen allegedly doing forceful entry on their girls. Sometimes the girls come back, they don't chook stick inside in the girls' V area. They came to protest massively. Fulani herdsmen have claimed the lives. Fulani herdsmen attack, allegedly, have claimed the lives of a lot of people in Benue State that I know of. Here and there, attack Fulani herdsmen here and there. The government have not been able to do anything. Now, this particular guy had to stand up for himself. Because, of course, the security of the country is not tight enough. The question is, when is the government going to stop using the people for politics? Because I see these things as politics. I don't know what they try to gain with the amount of people where they buy. I don't know. 24th, 25th, 26th, there was an attack in Bokos of December. See how many people buy for there. So if this guy did this thing on self-defense, come on, and you're sentencing. So basically, you people don't want people to fight for themselves. And there's no security. Una no want make people fight. Una still no give us security. If you people don't know about this Fulani herdsmen, if we don't stop scenes, if una know they are aware of farm, if we don't stop scenes, it's obvious that somebody is funding them. Somebody very rich is funding this whole thing. Track these people down. Now, the one where decide to fight for himself now, they don't go carry and go now. They don't pass judgment. So that means now carry now buy. Sentenced to buy because he decided to defend himself. Because he was strong enough to defend himself. If he not just strong enough now, that guy will attack her with knife for shoot him, and that's the end. May God help that country. But the Nigerian politicians, I'm begging, when are you people going to stop using the people as collateral damage for your politics? Because there's nothing anybody wants to tell me. This whole Fulani thing is politics. For how many years? I said they don't enter Enugu. Enugu women, they cry now. As they talk, they cry. They don't feel go their farm. Nobody's saying anything about those Enugu women now. Nobody's saying anything that is happening, talking about what's happening in Enugu State. It's a problem. So tomorrow now, if those people for Enugu State now start to defend themselves, now come they arrest them for now sentence them to buy because they fight for themselves. You don't want to fight for the people and the people cannot fight for themselves. Then it's a setup.
I know if you talk. We in the South, we be say we experience this kind of issues. That means somebody will come to your farm, all of in the name of grazing, and at the end of the day, try to destroy your crops, and you try to like talk him in what take your cow away from my farm. Let peace reign. Before you know, he brought out his machete and start to attack you. Cut you. Now you defend yourself, carry the machete. Buy him. Along the line of defending yourself, you buy him. With that, you know, that motion, that action and everything. Now they carry you go court, talk, say, you know, suppose carry machete. Person we don't cut it for late, never feel waka. Suppose carry machete, run. They don't pronounce judgment now, say they go buy the man by hanging. Now me say we don't even get rights now. Rights no day be that. You know, sharp. It don't make sense now. That this kind of matter stand for the truth. The legal system, the judiciary, you know, stand for the truth. May they do this matter. Now you don't pronounce judgment, say me they buy this man by hanging. How? That means any person we will see, we know we even fit to farm again. This thing have happened for naught. As it happen like this, the judgment now will take over all the country, and these people will get more powers. Eh? The judgment when they pronounce for them now, the same thing we go see happen for you. If you happen for you now, they attack you, you fight back and the person buy. Judicial precedents now. Judgment will happen for that side and the same thing we go see happen for you. Now the power where they go they use with that. This Sunday Jackson now, imagine the wife don't run liver, he don't dey for jail. This case has been in court for over 10 years. At the end of the day, even the people will come, the human rights activists will come, you know, the humanitarian people will come take over this matter. At the end of the day, they still pronounce the same judgment after appealing, say they will seek by hanging. Make Christians stand up. make human rights activists stand up. Now this kind of matter now, senior man show will raise suppose even they carry mic, so everybody go walk out for street put. You understand? Not be to the go checkpoint to the harass police. Go this kind of matter na very good matter where you say you go uphold. The whole world go hear your name. You understand? Even up to VD himself, everybody will mean good for this life. We no say love your life because this thing can happen to you. All farmer get association now. Yes, now what everybody supposed to stand up with this is a very painful thing. This thing can happen to anybody. It can happen to your relative. Among our family members, we have people that are full-time farmers. It could make people stand up. It's so painful, like so painful.
Let me start with you, Emmanuel. Just briefly give us the background to this case and what led to Sunday Jackson ending up on death row.
Yes, so this is really a sad day, I think, for Nigerians and their rights to self-defense. Nigerians already have to provide their own security, electricity, infrastructure, and now they can't even defend themselves without being sentenced to death. And I think all of us should be very alarmed by this very unfortunate precedent. In February of 2021, we read in the news about Jackson's death sentence just as we were coming into Nigeria. So we flew to Yola and I met with his counsel. He was so poor that it was Legal Aid Counsel that helped him. And so I looked through a copy of the judgment, and on the spot, in that initial review, I saw that there was a 167-day lapse between the close of arguments and the judgment. Now, our constitution specifically says it has to be within 90 days. Now, the Legal Aid Counsel hadn't even found it. That shows you the quality of representation that he had or lack thereof. So Mr. Jackson has been failed at every possible level by the system. And but
couldn't you adduce that argument at the Supreme Court?
Well, so here's the thing. So I was initially working with the Legal Aid Counsel to prepare an appeal. I traveled back to the US. When I came back, his counsel had changed. And so a group that I'm affiliated with had taken over, and I knew the chap with that. So I reached out to him and drew his attention to this fact. And he also had marshaled other facts and, we threw them all in. But the sad thing is, despite everything, and the case is so clear because this man retrieved the knife of his attacker. So it wasn't his own knife. But one thing that really stands out to me is, I was talking to my dentist today about this, and a dentist said to me, what happened to the charge of manslaughter? Because at the very worst, if he had to be charged with something, it would be manslaughter. He did not know that chap before that day. He couldn't have premeditated this. And I believe that this is one of those cases that when it was brought by the police to the DPP, the Director of Public Prosecution, the DPP's advice should have killed this case. This man has no case to answer. And now he's sentenced to death. He's exhausted all legal channels and is awaiting execution.
How did you get involved in this case?
Barrister Emmanuel and I have been working for a number of years here in Nigeria on human rights issues, and this is a sad day, Charles, for human rights in Nigeria. Sunday Jackson, and I'm not a lawyer, I'm a human rights advocate. Sunday Jackson, by anyone's estimation, is totally innocent. And the issue where this man was out farming, minding his own business, and then the attacker came and a struggle ensued. And of course, this man is going to defend himself. That's why we call it self-defense. And yet today, we were at the Nigerian Supreme Court, and it was very brief. It was only about maybe 2 minutes long, and we just wept at the failure of the Nigerian Supreme Court to say that this man, and they had the opportunity to say this man was totally innocent. We haven't seen all the ins and outs of the decision, but we had the opportunity to meet this humble farmer this young man who unfortunately his wife abandoned him, had been on death row for 10 years. So Sunday Jackson has now become an international case for human rights.
Yes,
and so we're going to continue to advocate.
I was going to ask you what are the international dimensions of this case?
Well, the international dimensions are Open Doors, which is a human rights organization, has recounted that there have been thousands of killings of Christians by Fulanis. And so as a human rights advocate and as a pastor, I'm here to advocate for this man who is totally innocent. So it has international implications. The eyes of human rights advocates are now on Nigeria. Like, how could this happen? How could this possibly happen? By anyone's estimation, as Barrister said earlier, manslaughter at least, because murder one that he's being convicted of and may face hanging if we can't get clemency for him, it has to be premeditated. So what justice on the Nigerian Supreme Court that didn't pop up and say to him or her, this is a case of self-defense and this man is totally innocent. So we encourage people to continue to pray for Sunday Jackson and his innocence.
Welcome back to Local Journal, my people. If you talk say no be Fulani man na be the president of Nigeria today, but na still Fulani people na they control wetin dey happen for inside this country. We dey listen to the injustice where they go on for inside this video. This one are the case of Sunday Jackson, a man wey don dey for inside prison for the past 10 years based on say im act in self-defense against a Fulani herdsman wey be wan kpai am for inside im farm. Now, according to the Supreme Court judgment wey they talk for inside this video, the Supreme Court sentenced Sunday Jackson to death by hanging. And we know say any judgment where the Supreme Court don't give, na final judgment na it be. But in all of this, where the justice dey for inside this country, we know the number of people where we say the Fulani people don't maim, don't kill, don't fight for inside this country. For the middle belt, for the southwest, for the southeast, for the south, and even for the north, these people don't kill so many lives. But till date, they never arrest one single Fulani headman. But an innocent person where we say he stand jejely on his own, he dey inside his own farm, he no do anything. Fulani headman can't come inside his farm, say he won't pay him, and the man can't act in self-defense. Now the court they charge him for murder. So waiting the court they tell us, we say anybody where Fulani headsmen they attack, may they just allow them, may they attack them, may they fight them, may they no do anything, may they no fight back. Now waiting the court they tell us be that this country won't tell us say the lives of the Fulani people they more precious than other Nigerians. I be waiting and not just understand. As we they talk to now currently like this, so many killings they go on for inside this country, and the people where they orchestrate and the culprit now these Fulani people, but they never arrest one single Fulani man. Now the reason why so many Nigerians they clamor for division 9 be this, because then talk say he who comes to equity must come with a clean hands. Nigerian leaders won't make they buy anybody who will act in self-defense against the Fulani people. But if na Fulani herdsmen na buy people for inside this country now, nobody go talk anything. Everywhere go just be quiet. Why the Supreme Court no talk say this guy acted in self-defense? I be in worst case scenario, they go charge him for manslaughter, but they no charge him for all this one, and they no see say he act in self-defense. So what did they charge him for? They charge him for murder. Every 1 million Nigerians they got stand up, make them protest against this injustice where they go on, because this thing na bad precedent. It is said like this. As they don't start this ruling like this, if it happen for any other part of this country, now still the same judgment now them go give. And now this one I make this barrister Emmanuel and Dr. Williams Devlin, a US human rights lawyer, they clamor for justice, fairness, and clemency for Sunday Jackson. Well, they explain so many things inside the video, so I will play the remainder part of the video so that we go all watch them together. But before we watch them, if today now be the first time you visit our channel, I beg make you like, make you share, make you subscribe.
Emmanuel, what was the prosecution's argument? I understand that they urged the court to convict Mr. Jackson solely on his confessional statement and based on the fact that death had occurred. So basically, no mitigating circumstances, and that was pretty much how the judge saw it.
Yes, so part of the problem is they are arguing that he had a responsibility to flee. Now, in the US, we have, stand your ground rules, which means you can defend yourself as much as you want. Now, here, they're arguing that instead of fight, you should have flight, you should flee.
In other words, after he overpowered the man and retrieved the knife, there was no further need to stab him.
Yes, but that is not accurate, and I don't think that's a fair requirement to make to someone who is facing imminent death. Now, just the data alone of all the massacres that have occurred He couldn't have known if there were more headsmen on their way to kill him. He has seen reports of what these people do. This guy just stabbed him. And so to expect him to reasonably assume that to fulfill the conditions of the law he needed to flee made no sense.
Yeah, but nevertheless, do remember that a lot of Nigerian law is based on English common law. And if you go into somebody's house to rob the person, I think it's different in America. It's that standard ground thing. You can actually shoot the person. If you did that in the UK, you'd be charged with murder.
Well, but here's the issue. The issue is that the attacker brought the knife, he overpowered him and took the knife after he sustained injuries. And this is why I have a problem. The evidence shows that he was injured in the leg. And then you say that he should have run. So he was at that moment momentarily incapacitated to even be able to run. I mean, the facts are not in doubt. This man did not die, that this attacker died as a result of the attack. But the circumstances was he attacked me, I was in fear for my life, and I fought back.
Were there any witnesses?
There were no witnesses. But, I mean, even the prosecution admitted that the weapon belonged to the attacker. The evidence, he had scars on his body of the injuries he sustained.
Right. Okay, let me ask you, William.
Yes.
Are you now in the process of trying to reach out to political leaders in Adamawa State in order to seek clemency? Because that's the only option, really.
That's the only option. We are bringing out every possible person, method, ability to be able to grant clemency to Mr. Sunday Jackson, who is totally innocent. And so, yes, we are on a fast track to alert people that here's a man that you can stand up for from a human rights perspective. Be a hero today in Nigeria on the issue of human rights and stand up for this nobody, Sunday Jackson, that's totally innocent in spite of what the Nigerian Supreme Court said today. So yeah, we're initiating and we're going full force on that.
And how much time has he actually got now?
Well, we're not sure what the timeline is now. Right. And just to illustrate the level of disappointment, we had someone on standby to pick him up from prison today.
Yeah.
And I couldn't make the call to say he's not going home, he's going to be killed. His children are ill. We've had to take care of them. His wife abandoned him. And so even in this time, he's not surrounded by his family, and we're going to put him to death. But I do want to make a quick point here about we're standing up not just for him, but for all of us. The Fulani militia have killed thousands of Christians. They've killed Muslims as well. And many of them are foreigners. So we have a situation where foreigners come and kill Nigerians with impunity, and Nigerians can't defend themselves. Yeah. In the Northwest right now, Lakawura is a Fulani terrorist group that was invited to come and help stop the terrorism of Boko Haram and bandits. And they're now killing the people they came in to protect.
Right.
So Nigeria is under siege. And there are more Nigerian citizens on death row in Nigeria now for defending themselves against Fulani headsmen than there are Fulani headsmen in Nigerian prisons in death row. That's just wrong. That's unacceptable.
Upside down.
So no idea how much time he's actually got.
No.
Because I mean that there must be a period that allows for the clemency process to
well, the court did not issue their opinion today, and they said not till next week. Right. So we're on a fast track.
So they just made an announcement.
Correct.
Right.
They just made the announcement. 2 minutes.
Right.
They had 30 judgments to deliver today, so they said they couldn't read everything, and they'll just give the conclusions. So all we had was dismissed.
Right.
And we won't know till next week. But I will contrast this with the death row case in Indonesia that we won.
Well, I'm going to come to that in a minute, because we're fast running out of time. But I mean, he's been in prison for 10 years.
Yes.
What must his mental state be?
Well, we saw February 19th, 2021. We went to Yola and we actually had access to visit with him and to pray for him. So here's a man that has lost everything simply because he was trying to defend himself and defend his family and defend his farm. As Barrister said, how did Sunday Jackson know that there may be 20 other Fulanis that are coming right behind this gentleman who attacked him. So his mental state, you can imagine being in prison for 10 years, losing your family, losing your children, losing your wife. I mean, the man is crushed and depressed, and that's why we are going to continue to advocate for the innocence of Sunday Jackson.
And Emmanuel, you were talking about Indonesia.
Yeah.
I mean, you've done a lot of cases across the world. Tell us about that case in Indonesia where you got a Nigerian off death row,
yes,
and how that contrasts with what happened here in Nigeria.
Yes, so that was a fascinating case. It's definitely one of the most complex cases I've had to deal with. And the gentleman was convicted under the identity of Emmanuel Ihejirika, which wasn't his real name. The passport wasn't his own passport. So he ended up, by mistaken identity, getting a death sentence for crimes that he did not commit. And we had to prove that he was not a Sierra Leonean, but a Nigerian. And we couldn't get the data from the NIS. And so
That's the
Nigerian Immigration Service.
Services, yes.
So we had to conduct a DNA test on his brother from Ebonyi State here in Abuja. And then we had to do a DNA test on him in prison to establish. This is one of the most bizarre cases ever. We had teams of lawyers working in Indonesia, Australia, Pakistan, and Malaysia, and then myself in the US. And very fortunately for us, the Indonesian Supreme Court granted him a reprieve. And he came home after 20 years from a country that is, the biggest Muslim country in the world. There's a bit of racism in that country, and, Nigerians have a terrible reputation. But the Supreme Court set a poor Nigerian free. And he came back maybe about a year ago to Nigeria.
Yes.
The work that Sonny Akoni, the counsel on this case, did was fascinating. He's won death row cases before, but this was a big shocker to us. And about the timeline, quickly, I was going to say, in Indonesia, we came into the case after he had exhausted everything. He was awaiting execution. But the Indonesian ambassador told me here in Abuja, he said, listen, 27 days to his conviction, you have a right, to his execution, you have a right to file an additional appeal. So we went around the world and we gathered our data. We had huge briefs. When he was told he was going to be executed, we submitted our appeal. And a couple of years later, the court said, we're going to overturn his death sentence. So in our case in Nigeria, we don't know the clock we're working with, but definitely time is of the essence to get him free.
But on a final word, he now essentially is in a race for his life.
He is in a race for his life. And this Indonesian case was a great day of celebration because we brought that gentleman home and landed here in Abuja on Christmas Day of all things. So we're going to be with Sunday Jackson until the final lap of this, and we are hoping to God that our prayers will be answered, and we ask others to pray, Charles, and thank you for bringing attention to Sunday Jackson, this innocent man.